How's it going, guys? This is going to be part two of the hip opening mobility kind of exercises and so on. So we'll start ourselves off here with kind of like a pigeon position, okay? So almost, if you were in a pike position, you're more familiar with that exercise or movement. This one here, I'm just going to keep a slight bend in my knees. I'm going to turn, draw my heel across the opposite side of my body, press my hands down into the post, just to kind of keep myself stable, but again, opening my hips. So here we go. The right heel comes back, kick across towards the left side of my body, open up the hips, and again, if I can get my knee up a little bit higher there, that's where I'm going to feel the most amount of stretch or kind of change. So again, play around from here. You can extend from the leg, bring the heel back to the body, and just do it, as many times as you want. Like you could do it really slowly for less repetitions, or you could do it kind of a little bit faster and go for higher and just tire yourself out. But if you're trying to increase your range of movement, it is nice to just kind of like gradually increase that range of movement. Over time, you don't necessarily need to start going for your furthest into the position as possible. Like ease yourself in, and after a minute or two of doing it, try to kind of push yourself down. But just take your time. Should be phase two for you in the warm, so you should be feeling a little bit warmer. So next up, we're just going to do that kind of hip movement that I was talking about. I'm going to get you to hang from something here. Luckily for me, I've got the clothes hanger behind me, so I can kind of hang from that and have my torso support it. So I'll see that now just in a few seconds. Just a quick one before I move on. This will be just the calves. So again, similar to when you're in the pike position, you can pedal. So one heel down, one heel up, alternate. Kind of lean your weight down towards the heels to get that stretch on them. It's really nice, very simple. You can do one at a time, alternate, or you can do both together, or just mess around. So here we go now. This is going to be our hanging knees. We're just going to rotate here. Try to keep your torso stable and still. I'm watching out for the things to the side of me, plus a little bit of the plant. So again, some points my knees aren't going to be completely in line with my hips. But if you've got like nothing obstructing you, that is kind of the goal. But again, just play around with what you can do. Even just hanging in this position is really nice for lengthening your spine. You could do a whole video based on what you can do just from hanging movements. This is just a simple one. Again, you could do it lying flat on the floor. That's also fine. I just like that kind of stretch I get from, gravity kind of like dropping my weight down and lengthening that spine. So again, feel free to do that down on the mat. Speaking of the mat, here we go. I'm going to get myself in to begin with like a kind of butterfly position almost, or frog stretch. So toes connected together at the back, knees are nice and wide, sitting up nice and tall into a kind of upright posture. You can have the hands over the head, or you can even alternate. Take one hand across the far knee and take your back arm here around and try reach for your far hip. It's a really nice one. Just try to keep your chest up. You don't want to kind of let yourself round too much. If you are rounding too much, just take your hands a little further closer to your groin, and that'll help you kind of lift up and stay tall. So after that there, we're just going to ease out of it here. This is a super uncomfortable position for me, but it is a good one to kind of get yourself into. So you're just going to kind of come into almost like a cobra here. We're going to keep your toes pointing out to the side. We're going to support our weight by pressing our hands down to the floor. And very gently and easily, we're going to just lower your hips towards the mat. And then you can push yourself and sit your heels towards the floor again. You will feel a big stretch come on there. So again, play around with that if you like. But I'm just going to go into kind of like a Cossack squat here, which is like a side lateral squat. I'm trying to keep my foot flat on the floor if I can on the straight leg. The other side, I'm activating my glute and my core just before I start to sit down, just to make sure I'm going to be stable when I get there. So coming down super slowly is good. I'm leaning forward a little bit. Anyone will be able to tell you would ideally be super upright. But again, just for kind of playing around with it, this is what we're going to go with. You can also use your hand to support yourself once you get down towards the floor. That'll help you sit really deep down into it and keep that leg straight. So here we go. I'm just going to kind of play around, press my left knee out to the side, just to kind of help make sure it doesn't internally rotate, and that'll kind of take the stretch away. So over to the other side, need to lift the heel up as you can kind of see there. But again, a little bit of movement for that hamstring and even the hip. Turning the toes out to the side, sitting down deep towards my heel, turn the hands over, and I'm going to try practice turning my hip over now. So a little bend in the knee, reverse the movement, and I can do this a few times. Again, it's just nice to imagine that it's in that rotating of the hips where you're throwing your kick. So again, play around with this. You can do it on both sides. You can just kind of go from one flow to the other. You can kind of obviously do whatever movements you like here and do them as many times as you want. Or you can kind of do the same kind of flow as mine. I got a pretty good opening from all this. And like if I did this 2 times a day for, like 4 days a week or every day, I'd say you get some pretty goddamn good results. You just have to stay consistent with it. Like even after one, I'd say 40-minute workout or something like that. It's not like I was exhausted or anything like that, but like I could kind of feel like my kicks felt better as I made contact. When I wasn't warmed up, it's not that I wasn't able to kick, it's just that the movement in the hip wasn't the pattern wasn't there. So, just messing around with that is good to get. In this position here, I'm kind of doing a forward lunge, deep into it like a sniper lunge. And then when I got there, I was kind of rear naked choking my own knee and just kind of like wrapping it up and trying to give it a good squeeze just to make sure I get a good stretch out of it. So I'll probably do the same on this side here. Sniper lunge position, one leg is back, keep the knee on the floor, toes pointed. Take the front foot out in front. Here I'm going to kind of lean forward. I'm going to wrap my hand down, my right arm down under my own hamstring and around towards my toes. Just after this little opening stretch here for the hips, even for your lats and shoulders, upper back, mid back, all that good stuff. So coming slowly back down in towards the floor, gonna press one hand down, wrap the hand around the toes. You can scooch forward a little bit here until you get yourself into a nice position. What I'm gonna try to do is drop my left hip towards the floor to look over my right shoulder. So I'm gonna get this really, really lovely stretch coming on. If it's a bit intense for you, you can just put more weight through that stabilizing arm, or just don't go as deep into it, depending on how it's feeling for you. This next one is one I got shown a few years ago actually by a black belt over in Thailand, and it's really, really nice stretch. He was doing it with his shin up against the wall, but if you can reach your own foot or ankle, you can kind of get the same effect out of it. But if you had this same thing but your shin is vertically going up the wall, it's really, really nice. You can lean your head back into it and it's super deep into that hip. But, you can do it with your hand, or if you have a towel, you can wrap it around it too. I didn't use the wall because mine's concrete there, and I don't really fancy ripping up my toes. So, real simple, give you a nice stretch out of it too. This is just a little movement here in the hip. So, coming back to your little Cossack, I'm only going to do 1 or 2 of them in there just to kind of loosen up, make sure everything feels nice. From here, I'm going to come into a nice kind of beginner level kind of pike. So, keep my knees bent, keep my hips up as high as I can in that moment. I'm not going to fully extend my legs because I need to have a stabilizing leg here. I'm going to do our kind of pigeon, not our pigeon, sorry, the other position there where we're going to kick our heel up towards the ceiling and open the hip. So again, pike, kick the foot up towards the ceiling, turn the foot out to the side, keep my hands pressing into the floor just to make sure I can get that movement. And similar to that kind of hanging exercise I did at the very start, this is just a pike version of that. So again, keep your knees slightly bent, extend one leg up towards the ceiling, keep that bend in the knee. You can kick it out a few times just to get the movement there. But what we want to do is turn, open the hip to the side, and bring your foot across. So again, keep that knee high, extend it, boom. And you can kind of hold this for as long as you want, repeat it as many times as necessary. Walking it back in here, just going to kind of shake it out a little bit into your regular pike. You can try lengthen the legs, ease in and out, come back down. Here we go. Now we're going to step forward with the knee, turn your foot out inside, lower your back knee and walk your toes back. Try to keep yourself as upright as possible. This one here, you can press your hands into the floor just to keep your chest upright, or if you feel comfortable, you can take your left hand across to the right side of the mat and take your right hand around to the back left hip or the side of your left glute. Try to keep your chest and torso upright. You can kind of mess around here, go to both sides, lower your weight down towards the front knee That's going to bring the stretch on. You can let your hands rest behind your back, down by your side, or you can even bend the elbows and just kind of support your weight by pressing your hands in towards the floor. This bad boy here is just a little kind of combination of that stretch there, the pigeon, as we lean forward into it, and a little mixture of our one that I mentioned that you can use the wall for. So in this one here, we're getting the stretch on the front hamstring, and on the back, you're getting that front quad and hip stretch. Together, it feels super weird because you're not sure how uncomfortable it is, because it's mildly uncomfortable both sides, but you can't tell which one is, well, I couldn't tell which one was worse. They're both pretty intense. So mess around with that. It's nice. Your body's like, whoa, what are you doing here? Again, keep your knee in front, turn the foot slightly to the inside, walk your back knee away, point the toes, support yourself, and once you kind of feel a little bit more comfortable in your position, you can even walk your fingers back to kind of help get yourself as upright as you need to be. From there, we can kind of collapse forward again down towards the floor, supporting your weight down onto, in my case here, will be my left knee. And again, once I'm down there, I'm just going to try to get comfortable, breathe, and just kind of like rest in the position while my weight is on top of that front knee. So again, you can chill out here for as long as you want. You can support your weight like so. If it's too much, you can just push yourself up and get out of there. But again, if it feels comfortable, you can stay down there for a while. Take your deep breaths, and if you're super comfortable, you can do this one here. Reach your opposite hand across to your toes, catch them, draw them back up towards the back arm. And what we're going to do then is just kind of support your toes and ankle as I do here. Keep yourself relaxed, breathe, and we're just going to try to get that double whammy stretch because it's pretty intense, but if you've warmed yourself up to a certain point, it shouldn't be too bad. You can definitely use tails to help you get there. Or if it's too much, you can just do one or the other and, alternate between the two. Also a very nice option. Okay, so next up is the butterfly. My butterfly is awful. You can tell by my tight kind of hips and groin area. Knees are super high up in the air, so my variation for this, just to make sure I do get a stretch and I'm not just wasting my time, I'm gonna separate my feet. I'm gonna take my knees a little closer towards the floor, and I'm gonna use my hands behind my body to press down, keep my torso up, and just keep my hips planted and resting down on the floor. So again, what I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna need to change my legs. At the moment, my left foot is in front and my right foot is tucked in behind. So I'm going to need to kind of take that out, switch it up to make sure I get the same stretch. If you have your feet connected together, the soles of your feet, you don't necessarily need to do it this way. But if you don't, you definitely do, because otherwise you'll pick up imbalances in one hip because you'll just get too comfortable doing that one side. Again, stay tall, keep your chest up, breathe. Ease in and out. And again, if it's too much for you, you can bring your knees back together and rest, or you can lie yourself back down and just take it in as you need to. This next one's really nice exercise. Again, just imagine gable gripping yourself by the back of the knee or hamstring. You can extend the leg out a few times. Then we're going to reach your left arm over your left knee and around. We're going to imagine taking a rear naked choke. Lean back with both knees tucked to your chest. Give that left knee a big squeeze, and then lift your right leg up to the ceiling, curl the toes, and slowly lower the right foot towards the floor while keeping the exact same squeeze you had while both knees were in tight to the chest. So main thing here is to focus on moving your heel slowly towards the floor. You can keep a slight bend in it if it's super uncomfortable, but if you can, try to lower the heel straight down to the floor. Try to then take your heel slightly down at an angle towards the floor and change the angles up a little bit. So here we go, going over to the opposite side, rear naked choke on the right knee, slowly lowering my left heel towards the floor. As I come back up gently, I'm going to come down slightly at an angle, just to again get the different areas and angles of the muscles that we're using here. Just focus on your breath here. Actually, this is it shouldn't be fast at all. You really do take your time, let your heel rest on the floor, and if your knee is really bent, try to slowly work on keeping it extended and slowly work towards getting all the way towards the mat. Okay, moving on. Cool, so now I'm just going to move on, stand myself up, and I'm going to start to kick again. So this is going to be my second kind of attempt at kicking the bag, just to make sure everything's a little more warmed up compared to how we started. When I started, it's not that I couldn't kick, it's just that things were a little bit kind of stiff, not as lubricated as they should be. Now I'm feeling a lot more comfortable again, not trying to hit it with 100% power, just trying to give it a little tap, come back to my stance, and just try to focus on my hips turning into the bag as I make contact. Boom. Okay, that's all. Hope you enjoyed it.